Good afternoon, everybody. My name is John Magazino. I'm with the Chef's Warehouse. We are a specialty food distributor that supplies some of the greatest chefs around the world with their food products. And I'm honored and excited today to be talking to a legendary chef and a friend, Nancy Silverton. Just a little bit of background on Nancy. She is a chef, a baker, a restaurateur. She's the author of several cookbooks. She's a native of Los Angeles, where she's been working in the restaurant industry for over 4 decades. She's, among other things, she was the opening pastry chef for Spago in Los Angeles, working alongside Wolfgang Puck. In 1989, she founded Campanile Restaurant, which was another legendary restaurant in LA. And at that time, she also started La Brea Bakery, where she became known as one of the premier bread bakers in the world. In 2007, Nancy opened up Osteria Moza and Pizzeria Moza, both which remain fixtures in the Los Angeles dining community. The pizzeria is regarded as one of the finest pizzerias in the world. So it's a great honor to be speaking with Nancy today. And we've got a lot of questions for you. First of all, Nancy, how are you doing? And
Good. Los Angeles is slowly reopening. I think that the spirit in the city is positive, which is so nice to see after such a long, dreadful year. Right now I'm sitting at Kispaca, our third restaurant on the corner of Highland and Melrose, and we have not opened all year for this restaurant because it's so small. But given the opportunity that we're going to the 50% allowable occupancy, we are going to open tomorrow. So I'm super, super excited.
That's awesome.
Yeah.
I'm glad to hear that too. I'm going to step back a few years and ask, how does Nancy Silverton, a native Los Angeles, an Angelino, become a world-class pizza maker? Where does it start?
Well, first of all, let's talk about world-class pizza makers. That's just a matter of an opinion. I know that we're close friends, and I know
no one's going to dispute that.
Okay, but how about just a pizza maker?
Okay.
For myself, I never, in my whole cooking career that I can think of, I've never done something because I've had the idea to do something. I think that I've done something because I've been inspired to do something or to take the next step. And the inspiration to become a pizza maker came probably sort of hit me as long as my fellow chef Suzanne Goen has been married. So whenever that was, I wish I could tell you if it was 15 years ago or if it was 20 years ago that she's been married. But I went to her wedding in Phoenix, Arizona. It was the first time that I had Chris Bianco's pizza. So previous to Chris Bianco's pizza, the only pizza I had ever really had was the pizza at Mike's Pizzeria in Encino, California, where I grew up. And it was something that my parents really never brought home, a place we never ate. I ate there with friends. I thought it was good. I considered pizza just a vehicle for tomato sauce and melted cheese, but never really had any sort of affinity, not to say like a native New Yorker who was so, pizza by the slice was part of their upbringing. I had no relationship to pizza. But when I tasted this pizza from Chris Bianco's in Phoenix, Arizona, immediately my thought was, all right, I'm going to figure out how to do this one day. And flash forward how many years it was when I was looking for a location for the Osteria. So I was going to be opening up this Italian restaurant, not thinking about a pizzeria. where the location that I found happened to have a pizzeria that was part of the lease. And my feeling was, this location was made to happen because it's going to force myself to teach myself how to make a pizza. And that's really where it all started. It was looking for a location for a restaurant that happened to have a pizzeria joined to, as part of the lease, and putting myself in the position of learning how to make a pizza.
And that's amazing. And we all love Chris Bianco's pizza today. And so are you self-taught on how to make pizza and make the dough? And obviously there's a lot of affinity you were a bread baker for years. How did you learn where'd you start?
I started, I started with the knowledge that I had taught myself on how to make a loaf of bread. And that's really where I started, because really, once you introduce yeast, once you have yeast and flour, right, you have some sort of a dough. You can call it a pizza, a focaccia, a pita, a pizza. They're all related. It's just how you stretch it, how you cut it, what you eat it with, what you put on top. So again, I had already this roadmap of where I wanted to end up, which always helps. And it was just a matter of getting there, But interestingly enough, I wasn't married to the question that came up so often afterwards, which was, what style of pizza do you make, or are you making, or
Mm-hmm.
and I didn't realize at the time that I had to have an answer. I had to say that it was New York, or it was Neapolitan, or it was Detroit, because it wasn't any of those. It was what I envisioned would be a great pizza.
So that gives you a lot of freedom to do what you want, which is pretty amazing.
Yeah, but
Yeah.
it didn't give our customer a lot of freedom. They were very confused. And, it's funny, when you interact with your customers and you give them a food that they've grown up with, let's say, or they have all these preconceived ideas of what something can be, they don't like to hear that you don't have a true definition of who you are and what you're making. It confuses them. And so because of that, they can become very critical. Like, well, this is not the pizza that I would buy in New York. And like, my feeling was, well, I'm not trying to make the pizza, or this is not the pizza I ate when I was in Naples last year. It's like, I'm not trying to make that pizza that I made in Naples,
Right.
So people don't understand that there's a wide range of flexibility in what you're trying to make, and you can't pigeonhole me.
Yeah, well, people love to label their pizza.
Yeah.
With where it came from and that. Is there such a thing as California pizza in your mind?
I think that there isn't. I would think that off the top of my head, if I thought about the United States, I would say, yes, there is a New York street pizza where you buy it, by the slice.
Mhm.
Yes, there is Chicago because it's that deep dish. Yes, there is a Detroit, I guess, because of the cheese and the square pizza, if I'm correct.
Yeah.
But other than those three states, I'm not sure that there is a regional pizza other than that.
Yeah, I would agree with you. And I even tend to break into, where I live in New York, that there are even different types of pizza within the New York area. The one thing I would say about California pizza, I often think of is maybe there's more liberties with some of the toppings, or at least originally that was.
Now that you say that, and even the way that you said California pizza, just the sound of it, and then right away my mind goes to California Pizza Kitchen, so that national chain. And so you're absolutely right. And California Pizza Kitchen started probably maybe 3 years at the most after Spago opened. It was started by two lawyers, two ambitious lawyers. They were able to lure the pizza maker from Spago, Ed Ledoux, to be their pizza chef. And the pizza that he was the most well known for, and the pizza that probably all of New Yorkers are just shaking their head at, was the barbecue chicken pizza. So you're right. If you had to say, but remember, that sounds like recent. Like that doesn't sound like history, because we're not talking about, we're talking about mid 1980s when California Pizza Kitchen came, right? But you're right. All of a sudden, that chain gave people the liberty to throw whatever they wanted on top of the pizza, for the good or the bad. So that would be a California style pizza. You're right.
Yeah. I thought you were going to say the smoked salmon pizza with the caviar.
No,
and stuff
that was
like that.
Wolfgang.
Yeah. Okay. Got it. Is there such a thing as a perfect pizza?
I think a perfect pizza is the pizza you're eating of the moment and you find it incredibly delicious. What I think, I would say probably next to politics, the category of pizza is something that sort of brings in, or sort of feeds the most controversy. I mean, I'm wondering if anybody was ever assassinated over either their pizza likes or dislikes, right? Because it became such a heated discussion. It's crazy when you look at the pizza wars.
Absolutely. It's a passionate subject. It's
People
so
lose their sense of humor when it comes to pizza.
Well, it's funny. I was in Japan a couple of years ago, and a friend of mine who's a pizza consultant was coming to Tokyo, and he said he was coming to Tokyo because he wanted to try what some people were calling the best pizza in the world. And it really speaks to, I kind of shook my head when I heard that, because I'd never heard of pizza in Japan. But the scope of where pizza is being made today is worldwide.
Absolutely. And I got to tell you, last time I was in Tokyo, I had some of the best Neapolitan style pizza I had ever had at a tiny little pizzeria that I think, no more than 12 people could fit there. And they had a lovely menu, and there was two pizzas, tomato and a margarita. That was it.
Right. Perfection and focus. Something that is big with you, passion, focus. Those are the kind of adjectives I think of when I think of Nancy Silverton. What is it about the crust, your pizza dough or your pizza crust, that makes your pizza unique? Is it different than, that original Chris Bianco pizza you tried, or is it different than other pizzas? What are you doing specifically?
I think that it's not different. I mean, obviously it's different than Chris's because the dough is made differently and what goes on top. But I think what's different about, not different in today's world, but different with the sort of the new breed of pizza makers, is that we are all putting our focus or our attention into the crust and what goes on top. I think that for a long time, especially what went on top, either the quality of the tomatoes, the sourcing of the cheese, and maybe other ingredients, was not as meticulous as it is now. And so if I had to say what the difference between my pizza, say, and a bad pizza, is that my pizza has a lot of care into both the dough and what goes on top.
Awesome. So Nancy, what are some of the toppings that people have come to love that maybe are unique to Pizzeria Moza?
Well, I think that we have our handful of what we call our classics that certainly not only do they sell the best, but I think that they really kind of showcase who we are, because they're not there's nothing crazy in it. Look, at one of our most popular is a fennel sausage pizza, and we make our own fennel sausage. We use a tremendous amount, and we finish the pizza with fennel pollen, which is a very aromatic herb that really flavors the pizza. We do the fennel sausage. What we spread on the base of the pizza is simply a heavy cream that we whip up, panna, and that combination of the fennel sausage and the panna as the base. There is some mozzarella in it as well, but the base is this panna. It was something that I found at my local pizzeria in near my home in Italy years ago, where I saw as one of the ingredients in their large array of pizzas that they offered was a pizza with panna. And I knew that panna was cream, but I didn't really understand what that possibly could be. And it took me years to get the confidence to ask them in my terrible Italian, what is panna? And they came out and they bring me this bowl of a white mixture, and I taste it. And it's like, this is whipped cream. Wow. And so that's what I did. And it's funny because now you see panna as an ingredient on many people's pizza. And look, we all borrow and and get inspired and think of other people. But I think that if I hadn't started that panna at Pizzeria Moza that I borrowed from my local pizzeria, I don't know if it would have become an item or an ingredient on other people's pizza. But
I'm glad you had the courage to ask them.
Yeah, I know, exactly, because I never would have thought of that myself. But certainly our margarita, which is our simple, classic fior di latte and tomato and basil pizza, is certainly our bestseller. Our pizza with prosciutto and rucola, the salsicce, our funghi. We have a mixed mushroom pizza with fontina, which is really terrific. And we always have seasonal pizzas. Right now we have a pizza with pea shoots and green garlic and peas, which is fantastic. It's our ode to spring.
Springtime pizza.
We're doing a delicious one. Our newest pizza, I think, is our cacio e pepe, which is done with pecorino and a lot of cracked black pepper. And it's finished with a sheep's milk ricotta from Bellwether Farms. So delicious, but really simple. I think that I don't think more is better in a pizza. Sometimes, I design a pizza because not only the way that it eats, but also the way it looks. And I can always tell when a pizza goes out that somebody adds things to it, because it's like, what the heck is that? And like one of that happens to me all the time that I really can't stand is when people order the margarita, the simple tomato and basil, and and they add mushrooms, and it just doesn't look right. And I see it always it's so shocking to me when that goes out.
Talk to me about the pizza that sticks out in my mind from the meals I've had at Pizzeria Moza is the squash blossom pizza. How did you get started with that?
So, I spend most of my time most of my year that I'm in Italy is spent in the summer, which is the height of squash blossom season. So you find squash blossoms in so many dishes, including pizza. And so I brought that idea back with me to the pizzeria. And the pizza that we do there, and we've done it almost from the beginning, is it's a red pizza. So it's got tomato sauce on the bottom. We open up the squash blossoms and lay them out so they completely cover the base of the pizza, baked in the oven. And then we finish it with burrata, which is the cream stuffed mozzarella on top with a little olive oil. Fantastic.
I'm starting to salivate. Okay, two more toppings that I know are near and dear to you and myself. The first one is Calabrian chili peppers, and the second one is anchovies.
Ah,
We love to talk about anchovies.
we love our anchovies. And
Are you doing anything with Calabrian chili peppers? I feel like it's so popular these days. We were lucky enough ourselves to go to Calabria a couple of years ago to see where they were growing and how they're produced. Um, Talk to us about Calabrian chili peppers. They're so hot right now.
so, the Calabrian chili pepper that we use it. Obviously, we can't get the fresh Calabrian chili. So, this is more a condiment that we get. We call it Calabrian Bomb because that's what it is. It's a bomb full of flavor, and we get them in rather large tubs from you, and we use a lot of it because we flavor you know um, mayonnaises with it. We make a spicy mayonnaise using Calabrian chili.
Yum.
In our pizza, we mix it with our tomato paste to make a really spicy tomato to make a spicy tomato sauce. I mean, just a small amount is a kick. With our anchovies, we do two great pizzas with them, and we use anchovies and everything else. But we do a very classic Neo, Neapolitan pizza with capers and anchovies. We always like to finish our pizza with the anchovies. I prefer the anchovies added after, not baked in the oven. And
Yeah.
we also do one with Meyer lemons. It's a red pizza again with Meyer lemons, thinly sliced, baked on top, and we finish that pizza with some ricotta, uh, anchovy, and grated lemon rind, fried parsley, and capers. Delicious.
You're making me want to be back in Los Angeles eating your pizza,
Or Calabria.
or Calabria for that matter. You're right. Um, Speaking of being in Los Angeles, obviously with the pandemic and everything that's gone on in the past 12 months, it's been very difficult to travel. And I would love for you to just share with everybody what your experience was like in 2020, operating multiple restaurants, being forced to close them down. And, I think the pizzeria, I don't know, did it ever close or were you able to operate? And,
Yeah.
yeah,
Well, so just to make it clear to our listeners, I occupy this corner of Melrose and Highland, and there's a lot of different components to that corner. So so there's three restaurants on the corner and one takeout. So what I have to say is, and the takeout is called Moza To Go, and Moza To Go is at the back of one of our restaurants, Kiesbaka. And so when all restaurants were closed down a year ago, March 15th, and only To Go was able to operate, I was sort of one step ahead of most of my fellow uh, friends in the restaurant business because I was already operating and knew how to operate a To Go business. So that never closed. It was the osteria and the pizzeria that closed. So we have been operating Moza To Go this entire time. And it's been sort of a fact that people, well, first of all, we know that pizza travels. And so that's also great because, I think that what a lot of people found out is a lot of the food people were making in their restaurants really did not travel. And there was a real art to figuring out what people were selecting from their menu that actually would travel and how to package it. And that we already had figured out.
Yeah, I think pizza makers around the country and around the world for that matter during the pandemic, whereas as you mentioned, fine dining really took a hit. Pizza makers, because of the portability of it and the price and the simplicity, and maybe it's even for many people it's a very comfortable food to have. And
Yeah.
during those days, I think people wanted to eat pizza.
And, it was an item that the whole family could eat,
Yeah.
and that was great. It wasn't, like somebody, because so when people were tired of or wanted to break from all the home cooking they were that they were doing, it was that one meal that the whole family would eat rather than having to either drive to several places or have it delivered from different places. Everybody got the same.
Yeah. Well, that's fantastic. So what's the future look like for Moza? I know you've got some new restaurants opening around the world.
Yeah.
2021, exciting days ahead.
2021, I just opened a new restaurant, Piezete. Did I tell you about that?
I've heard about it.
So Piezete is a small little concept in a very small food court. So it's quick serve. I named it Piezete because the pizza that we are doing for it are very small, as opposed to our 8-ounce dough that we do at Moza To Go and Pizzeria Moza, which we always have thought about as being almost personal pizzas, right? People could order one and eat it themselves. These are half the size. I designed that concept to complement all of the thousands of office buildings that were being built in the Culver City area where this food court is. Unfortunately, all those buildings are vacant right now, but I envision people coming to the food court and bringing food back to their office where that pizza box needed to fit on their desk while they were doing their work. And so I love that idea, but I went a little bit further and I took that same weight of pizza dough, did not stretch it quite as big as I did for the pizza, but baked it plain, a little dimpling, baked it plain, and we're using that dough to stuff our sandwiches in the way that you would stuff a pizza. So making our sandwiches where we're cutting off the top, opening up the bread, and stuffing our sandwiches from above.
Sounds
And they're
delicious.
called stuffers that day, and they're great. And by the way, we're taking those ends, we're not throwing them away, but we are tossing them in olive oil, baking them in the oven till they're crisp, tossing them in a little bit of chili flake and Parmesan cheese. And they are terrific. We're calling them Piezete ends, and they're kind of taking the place of like French fries or something like that.
Sounds delicious.
That's already open. But in 2021, I will have 3 new restaurants. I'll have the restaurant at the Hollywood Roosevelt Hotel called the Barish, and we will be doing pizza only for lunch at the restaurant there. But one thing I'm doing at dinner that I've fallen in love with actually after our trip that we took to Calabria, I'm doing pizza fritti there. So I'm doing a beautiful fried pizza that we're topping with, that we're tossing in Parmesan little chili flake. And then we're finishing it with a beautiful Bellwether Farms Jersey cow ricotta. And that's pizza fritti, which we're doing there. And then I'm opening up a pizzeria in London and a pizzeria / osteria in Cabo.
In Mexico. Wow,
Yeah.
fantastic.
So, I know it's going to be a busy 2021.
Awesome. Well, thanks so much for your time, Nancy. This has been awesome.
You're so
I've
welcome.
learned many things. Most of all, I've learned that I miss your pizza.
And I miss you.
Thanks.
And by the way, the poster that you have behind you, I have in my house in Italy.
Oh, you do?
Yeah, I'll send you this summer when I go, because I've got my tickets. I'm going to take a picture of me with that in the background. It's in Italy.
Hilarious. Yeah, that's a signed original by David Goyens.
Mine too.
That's awesome. Well, thanks so much.
Thank you.
It's been a pleasure speaking with you. And I know the New York Pizza Fest 2021 at-home edition is happy to have you here and happy to have heard everything you've had to tell us.
Thanks, John.
Thanks, Nancy.
See ya.
Bye-bye.